Welcome everyone. Today, I want to share with you a tale not just of ambition, but of the quiet, grinding persistence that turns hope into reality. This is a story about value, about the undeniable truth that the most meaningful things in life are never simply handed to us. They are earned crumb by crumb, through effort we choose to give. Our story begins in the shadow of the Azure Peaks, in a valley town called Elmsworth. Life here moved at the pace of the river that wound through it. Steady, predictable, and for some limiting. In a small, weather-worn house at the edge of town lived 20-year-old Leo. His dreams, however, were anything but small. While the mountains hemmed in the horizon, Leo's mind was filled with visions of bustling kitchens, the warm glow of hospitality, and a name synonymous with excellence. He dreamed of building not just a restaurant, but a community, a place where people gathered and celebrated. But dreams are expensive, and Leo's reality was one of careful arithmetic. His father, Mark, spent his days under the hoods of cars in a modest garage, his hands perpetually etched with grease, a testament to a lifetime of providing. His mother, Claire, moved between the large, empty houses on the hill, filling them with order and cleanliness before returning to their own cramped but loving home. Leo's brightest spot was his 10-year-old sister, Sophie, who watched her brother with wide, believing eyes, certain he could do anything. One evening, as a chill seeped through the walls, Leo sat on the back step, the weight of his longing pressing down on him. The stars above the peaks were sharp and clear, countless pinpricks of light in an immense darkness. "I want to build something for them," he whispered into the cool air, his breath forming a faint cloud. "But how do you build a castle when you can barely afford the stones?" The next day, fueled by a restless night, Leo found his father in the garden, mending a fence. He poured out his heart, the restaurants, the recipes, the desire to create a legacy. Mark listened, his eyes on the sturdy knot he was tying. When Leo finished, his father was silent for a long moment. "Leo," Mark finally said, his voice low and gravelly, "dreams aren't free goods on a shelf. They're more like seeds. You can have the finest seed in the world, but if you don't pay for it with your own sweat to dig the earth, with your patience to water it, and your back to guard it from the weeds, it'll just rot in your pocket. Start with what you have, even if it's just one seed." Those words echoed in Leo's mind as he walked through Elmsworth the following day. He observed, as if for the first time, the rhythms of his town. He noticed the morning ritual of neighbors walking to the end of the main road to catch the bus to the city. He saw them return in the evening, often carrying small paper bags from Anderson's Hearth, the only bakery for miles located in the next town over. An idea, fragile but clear, began to form. What if the aroma of fresh bread didn't require a bus ride? What if it greeted them right here? The problem, of course, was capital. Leo's savings were a handful of coins meant for emergencies. Undeterred, he walked the 5 miles to Anderson's Hearth. Mr. Anderson was a man carved from the same stone as the mountains, weathered, imposing, and known for his zero tolerance for nonsense. The bell above the door chimed as Leo entered, the rich, yeasty scent of the bakery wrapping around him. "Mr. Anderson," Leo began, his voice steadier than he felt. "My town Elmsworth has no bakery. Your bread is beloved, but the journey is a barrier. I propose to be your bridge." "Because," Leo met his gaze, "I am not asking for a gift. I am asking for an opportunity to prove my word is as solid as your sourdough." 1 week. A long, flour-dusted pause hung in the air. Then a grunt. "A week. You fail to pay. Don't let the sun see you on my road again." That first morning, Leo embarked before dawn, the borrowed crates of bread feeling like treasures on his back. He set up a simple wooden stand near Elmsworth's Central Park. He didn't just stand there, he engaged. He offered warm smiles and warmer samples. "Morning, Mrs. Dale. A loaf to go with your famous stew?" The townsfolk, skeptical at first, were disarmed by his earnestness and the undeniable quality of the bread. By sunset, the crates were empty. The walk back to Anderson's Hearth that evening felt lighter. When he placed the exact amount of money on the counter, Mr. Anderson gave a slow, almost imperceptible nod. Tomorrow then. And so a rhythm began. Leo became a fixture, his dedication turning into local legend. After months of pre-dawn treks and saved coins, he bought a second-hand cart, its wheels squeaking a song of progress. Then a regular customer, an elderly man named Henry, mused, "You've got the spirit of a seller, lad. But the soul of a thing, that's in making it. Ever thought of baking your own?" The question struck Leo like a lightning bolt. It was the next logical step, yet a terrifying chasm to cross. This was the moment the lesson deepened. Nothing is free, not skill, not mastery. To grow, he had to willingly step into the realm of not knowing. Gathering his courage, he returned to Mr. Anderson. "Sir, you've given me a chance with your bread. Would you teach me to make my own?" Anderson scoffed. "Teach you to cut your own timber, so you can build your own house and stop buying my planks? Where's the sense in that for me?" Leo had anticipated this. Because a true craftsman's legacy isn't just in the products he sells, but in the knowledge he passes on. "If I succeed, I will always speak of the man who taught me. Your name will be part of the foundation." A flicker of something, respect perhaps, passed behind the baker's stern eyes. "Fine. But dough has no mercy. It demands everything. Be here at 3. Not a minute late." The education was brutal and beautiful. In the silent, flower-clouded world of the pre-dawn bakery, Leo learned the language of gluten, the temperament of yeast, the precise song of an oven that's ready. His first attempts were disastrous. Dense bricks, pale ghosts of loaves. One particularly deflated batch brought him to the brink of tears of frustration. Maybe this is the ceiling of my dream, he thought. But then he heard his father's voice. Dreams aren't free goods. He realized each failure was a tuition fee paid in experience, not a debt to despair. Weeks later, Mr. Anderson broke a loaf from Leo's latest batch. The crust crackled perfectly. The inside was a web of airy, fragrant alveoli. He chewed, nodded once. "It's bread. Your bread." With a small, rented oven in his family's kitchen, Leo's hearth, a deliberate nod to his mentor, was born. His family rallied. Sophie became the master of ribbon tying, Claire the accountant of flour and butter, and Mark his trusted advisor on all things structural. The cart now boasted not just bread, but Claire's spiced muffins and Sophie's decorated sugar cookies. But prosperity, like yeast, invites competition. A sleek new shop, Eric's Confectionery, opened with a fanfare of painted signs and exotic promises. For a while, the novelty drew the crowd. Leo felt the cold fear of irrelevance. Instead of resentment, he chose curiosity. He asked his loyal customers, "What draws you there? What can I learn?" He heard, "Presentation, variety, atmosphere." And so he invested again, not in jealousy but in self-improvement. He painted his cart a cheerful blue, studied cake decorating from library books, and introduced a taste of the week. His humility and willingness to evolve brought his community back stronger. An elderly woman, Mrs. Bird, told him, "Anyone can sell a pretty thing, Leo, but we buy from you because we've seen your journey in every loaf. That has a flavor no sugar can match." Finally, the dream solidified. A small lease storefront on Elmsworth's Main Street. Leo's Fresh Bakes opened its doors, a warm haven of golden light and heavenly smells. It was a triumph. Then the storm. Literally. A night of howling wind and lashing rain masked the electrical fault. Leo, closing up, saw the smoke. A frantic battle with a fire extinguisher left the oven a melted shell, walls stained, and his spirit drenched. The morning revealed the damage, and with it, a crowd of worried faces. The whispers of "it's over" were almost audible. Standing in the damp, acrid ruins, Leo felt a profound calm. He had started with nothing but an idea and a 5-mile walk. This was not nothing. He turned to the gathering. "This isn't an end," he said, his voice carrying. "It's a new recipe, and I could use some help sourcing the ingredients." The town that had watched him rise now helped him rebuild. Henry brought tools. Mrs. Bird organized a community ingredient drive. Distant customers became volunteers, scrubbing soot from walls. And from Mr. Anderson came a note with a key. "My old mixer. It's noisy but it works. Pay me when you can." In this darkest hour, Leo understood the final layer of the lesson. When you prove you won't give up on yourself, the world often decides not to give up on you either. The reopening was a town festival. The mayor spoke. "Leo taught us that value isn't a price tag. It's the story of effort behind the thing. He paid for his dream with his sweat, and in doing so enriched us all." Leo, looking out at the faces of his family, his mentor, his friends, and his customers, finally gave his dream its full name. "They say nothing is free," he said. And they're right. The best things, respect, trust, community, a sense of purpose, have a cost. They require daily payments of courage, integrity, and relentless hard work. But this bakery stands as proof that while nothing is free, everything of true value is absolutely within reach, if you're willing to pay the price. Leo built more than a bakery. He built a testament to the human spirit. And his story asks us, what dream are you willing to pay for, starting today? Remember, the first payment is always the decision to begin.